One, two, three. Good evening, everyone, to the Finance Committee meeting for November 10th, 2020. So the first thing in our agenda is to call to order. So do we have quorum? Yes.
Yes, you do.
The next is the approval of the minutes for the October 27, 2020 Finance Committee meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to move.
Any question, discussion? Okay, I don't need to say it. We're fine. Yeah. And next, we move to the public appearance for non-agenda items. Huh?
Julia, you do have to take a vote, though.
Oh, all
You
those
don't
in
need a
favor
second
say
to
aye.
do it.
Aye.
Nays, the motion carried. So next in the agenda is the public appearance for non-agenda item. Do we have anyone in the chambers?
No one in
Online?
the chamber, Madam Chairman.
Okay. So next we move to item number 4, Finance Director Report.
Excellent. So
Can you have your treasury report? Okay.
of course. So in the packet is the treasurer's report for September. In the interest of time, I will just answer questions if you have them. Not too much has changed, continuing to have CDs that are maturing that were at a much higher interest rate than what I'm able to reinvest at, but that's the market that we're in right now. Other than that, so obviously budget tonight is a big topic. Tomorrow, the audit preliminary field work is happening. So Julia, if we can talk after this meeting, they would like to talk to you as well tomorrow as finance chair. And then we have interviews on Thursday for the account clerk 2 in my position that is backfilling a retirement. So it's a busy week. We also are working on the Moody's presentation and the preliminary offering statement for the debt issuance that will be sold at the first meeting in December. And then the CARES funding, the routes to recovery funding, that final request for reimbursement is due early next week. So lots of stuff coming to a head right now, which is good to get these projects moving along.
Okay. Any question for Misty?
I have a question for Misty.
Okay.
Moving to page 8, what I always commonly refer to as the profit and loss. Looks like we're doing fairly well from a revenue standpoint, at least based on the numbers, and expenditures as well. If we have additional revenue at end of year, where does that additional revenue end up? Is it moved into the next year, the general fund, or how is that handled?
Yeah, so yes, we are having a pretty good year. We've been able to address the additional expenses and the changes with COVID pretty well for 2020. Based on the estimates that departments provided in the summer with budget, we expect we'll have a little bit of a surplus at the end of 2020 again, which is good. I mean, that's something that we want to have a little bit of surplus. When that happens, it goes into the unassigned fund balance. It stays within the general fund, and then that's there to help us. That's that fund balance that we talked about before, that our policy is between the 15 and the 25%.
If the situation was reversed, what happens then? Do we pull money from the fund that you just referenced, or at that point there? I guess what is the plan if that situation was reversed?
Yeah, so it's our responsibility to not have a deficit, if at all possible. So that's some of the monitoring that I do, and we would bring forward budget amendments to try to make it so we didn't have a deficit. If it was unavoidable or unexpected or something like that, then you're right, it would come out of that unassigned fund balance again. And then we need to make sure we make adjustments for the following year so that it wouldn't happen again.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Okay. Thank you, Misty. Next, we move to the review of the bill. So next we have a detailed review of all checks for $10,000 and above, dated October 16 to October 31st, 2020, totaling $1,763,841.49. Any question there? I have a question. Okay. 1 second.
I have one in the meantime.
Okay, yes, you can go first.
Misty, I'm looking at page 1 of that report, page 39 of the packet. At the very bottom, the City Hall ionization equipment for HVAC. I think that's what we talked about in terms of protecting for the virus. Is that true? And maybe you or Pat could comment on what that looks like and what the installation looks like.
Yep, so that is that piece of it. So we have done now 3 of the buildings, or at least they're in the process of being done. City Hall was the first one to try to kind of pilot it, the vendor in the system and make sure it was still something that made sense for the city. So that was installed, and now we're paying for it. The full cost is going to be reimbursed through the CARES funding, and so I obviously am not a technical person, but there's a system that's added to our HVAC system that puts ions out into the air, and the ions make the virus particles heavy, and then they drop to the floor so that they don't stay in the air and circulate. And then City Hall was first. We've also done that now at the library and at the community center, senior center area. And then all 3 of those were paid for by the CARES funding.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
Yeah, so on page number 2, TL engineer, you have construction construction inspection. What are those projects that were inspected?
That is for Fish Hatchery Road.
Both of them?
Yes.
Okay. The Nicholson Group, this appraisal services, for what?
That is for the Hy-Vee assessed value lawsuit that we're going through. We hired an appraisal in order to do another piece for the court case.
Okay. So from where this money is coming? Because it wasn't in the budget last year, so.
The appraisal service, so that's coming out of the TID. So Hy-Vee is a parcel that's within TID 6.
Yeah, okay.
So TID 6 pays for that, and there was a pre-approval that was done through the council to hire the attorney to help us with that. Included in that pre-approval were these ancillary charges. So we basically took it off of that pre-approval and then created a new one for this vendor. But ultimately, it was approved by council a few months back now.
Yeah, okay. Okay, any other question for this batch? Okay, then we move to B, at the detailed review of all check issue, check number 121339-121371, dated October 16 to October 31st, 2020, totaling $1,804,347.05. Any question there? No? Okay. So next we move to the next batch, is a detailed review of ACH payments for $10,000 and above, dated October 2020, totaling $150,470.96. Any questions? No, it's pretty, this one is, yeah. So next we move to the last batch, is a detailed review of all ACH payment dated October 2020, totaling $165,111.17. Any question? No? Okay. So then we move to the action item, and the first topic is we have an update for the road construction. So who's gonna do that update? Pat?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
Excuse the voice, I still have laryngitis here. On Fish Hatchery Road, Greenway Cross pavement is complete, and the pavement marking will be complete on Wednesday. The west leg of Greenway Cross will be open to traffic by 5 a.m. Thursday morning. Pavement marking and decorative concrete work are being completed, along with some landscape restoration. Most of the traffic control will be removed from the job beginning Monday, November 6th, that's next Monday, and the road will be fully open to traffic by Friday, November 20th. Construction to resume in early spring, weather dependent. Quick update on McKee Road. McKee Road scheduled to be completed by Friday, November 13th, this Friday. There will be some final pavement marking, some green epoxy that will be done in the spring once the warmer weather arrives. So Bill sent all of you this summary along with some photographs of Greenway Cross too that you can look at in your email. That's all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any question? I received a couple of comments or questions from neighbors about the similar road intersection. You know that one of the intersection is you had a sidewalk on Marquee, and then you can see the pond there, like it's very deep.
Yeah.
And they're asking why we didn't put like some fence, like the green fences that they are in other parts of the Marquee Road, because that area is kind of like dangerous, if you are biking or maybe you lose you fell and maybe you can go down to that a slope, and there is no any protection. The slope is very steep, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, a lot of that has to, when they look into fencing or putting a barricade up
yeah,
at a hazard like that, a lot of it has to do with the degree of slope
yeah,
and the distance from the hazard. So that must not have met those criteria for a dangerous location. I can get those answers for you though in more detail.
yeah, because a couple of people are asking me that, it seems very dangerous if you have a small kid biking, with a bicycle. Now it's winter, but and then they lost the what is it, the balance, and then go there, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
so I don't know. So
Yeah, we can look into it.
okay, thank you. Okay, so any other question for Pat? Okay, so next I need a motion to approve resolution R-178-20. Is authorization to approve 3-year contract with ESO Solution.
I move to approve.
I need a second.
I don't think you need a second.
You don't need a second.
No?
Is Chief Pulvermucker still in the
Yeah.
Why, yes, he is.
chamber? Does he want to speak on this one?
Switch on the top, there you go. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so what, wow, sorry, hot mic. So what you have in front of you is basically what amounts to our scheduling software, our records management. Primarily, this was enacted because of the fact that our record management system, Firehouse Software, was, they sent out sort of like a pre-alert that the software was no longer going to be supported. So we looked into a couple of different options, and the one that came back as being the most, probably the easiest to transition into because of the fact that it's supported by the same parent company, is ESO software. But this allows us to consolidate a couple of different software packages into one. So that was one of the things that we looked at, not only the cost, the compatibility, and then the availability to reduce the number of software packages we have. So that's, for all intents and purposes, what you have in front of you is our ability to collect data and to report out on our incidents.
Okay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the specific data that you collect here?
There's a couple of things. Whenever we go out on a response, we have to generate a report for it. The reports basically are things that we are able to then share if in the event that our service is ever called into question. The other thing that it does is for fire inspections, we're able to complete and collect fire inspection data. We also have the ability to schedule our personnel. So that's one thing that was added to this package, is the fact that instead of having 2 software packages, we now have 1. And that's primarily the things that this accomplishes, along with keeping track of our training hours. So quite a few things that are able to be done with this one piece of software, but essential nonetheless. The other thing that this does is it collects data that is sent to us by Dane County Comm Center. What do you call that? Calculates or whatever. They enter the information in advance of us having to enter the information. And that comes directly from Dane County, and that's something that we don't have to spend because Dane County already has the bridge software that's associated. So, and if we do spend anything, it's less than we would if we had to go with a different software package. So it's in conjunction with the same type of software that other Dane County emergency services have. So we were looking at compatibility.
I have a question as well.
Yes, sir.
I see the contract expires December of 2021, and I suspect you just answered my question. Is it because of compatibility? Why wouldn't we just let the contract expire out?
So there's a couple of different things. The Firehouse software was actually due in October. This actually brings some of our contracts in line with what else we have throughout the fire department. So bringing it closer to January. The other thing is because of the fact that it's under the same parent company, we were able to establish an agreement as far as what that would look like and the timeline associated with transferring from one platform to another.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that was something that we took into consideration. We just didn't want to pay for another year of Firehouse software if we knew that we were going to this.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Do you need to pay any extra funds for the changing from one system to the other one?
Any data that was transferred from one system to the other, the costs associated were minimal. If there were costs, I'd have to look into it, but that is one thing that we considered. If we went to another platform, it would cost us a lot more money to transfer from one system to another. And there's a greater probability of losing information or not necessarily having it stored in the same way that would make it easy for us to collect that data. So we would be able to retain the data that we've been collecting for 10 plus years in addition to what we are going to be collecting in the future.
Another question, is this platform very well used or known in fire departments?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we looked into it is because of the compatibility with Dane County and the fact that other Dane County departments are using it.
Okay.
This is weird because I'm not exactly sure whether I look at the screen because I know that you're not looking at me.
Yeah, you're looking.
All right.
You can look at me.
All right, I'll look at Randy.
He has been. Just he's back and forth.
So I have another question about the transfer of money. So it said that the Fitchburg Common Council, we amend the 2020 general fund budget by transferring $3,100 from the vehicle maintenance account. From which vehicle maintenance account?
So the vehicle maintenance account up until this point was in very good shape. We just found out that we have one vehicle that's going in for service. That said, I'm not exactly sure what to predict out of that, other than the fact that we still have enough money in that fund. Vehicle maintenance, the way that we schedule that is so that we can afford to use outside mechanics. What we've been doing a really good job with is using the city garage mechanics whenever possible. This being a COVID year, they've been a little bit more readily accessible than other years. But the labor costs associated with using the city garage is a lot less than using another mechanic from an outside resource. But we have to budget for the outside mechanic because the city garage mechanic is not dedicated to the fire department, and it's not something that we can rely on. He does a great job, and that's why we use him when we can. But he's got other duties as well, so it makes us difficult for us to budget based on the availability of the mechanic that has other responsibilities. Yes, sir. Ma'am. Misty.
So I just wanted to clarify something that both of you said. So we are amending the 2021 budget, not the 2020 budget. So Joe is assuming that the similar experience for 2020 will be realized in 2021 and feels comfortable presenting this budget amendment to you guys.
So how this one is going to affect because we haven't approved the budget yet.
Right, there's a lot of things about this pre-approval that's a little unusual, so usually we wouldn't sign a contract now for 2021, but as you can imagine, there's lead time with software, and then same with the budget amendment. So you are preemptively amending something that hasn't been adopted yet. It is unusual.
But it's not gonna affect the money available that we have tonight,
No, because he's transferring it from one.
from one to another one.
Yeah. And there's a little bit more information about that budget amendment on the pre-approval form. Talks about why that's needed and why it's available.
And so basically what we were working off of is the anticipated budget based on last year's expenses on the operational side.
Okay. Any other question, Gabriela?
Yeah, so just one more comment on that. So this comes back to council on December for a vote, oh no, we're doing this tonight,
That's
aren't
tonight, yes.
we? Okay. Okay.
So,
We're doing a budget amendment that might normally happen in December.
and why we cannot wait until December or to the 24th?
So with this, there is training that we're trying to get accomplished before January. This goes live in January. And so in order for us to get everything in place, train our individuals, give them enough time to put their hands on the software and train them to that fact, the software company needs a signed contract.
Before the 24th?
Well, there's a number of things that went into this, but this timeline is constricted, yes.
Yeah, because, you know, okay, fine, no. Okay, fine, okay. So, any other question? Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-178-20 say aye.
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 Nays, the motion carries. Thank you, Chief. So next, I need a motion to approve resolution R-191-20, a resolution authorizing acceptance of the contract with Purple Cow Organics LLC for brush and yard waste processing service for 2021-23.
Motion to move?
Okay, who is gonna talk about this?
I can do it. So Purple Cow Organics is the vendor that we use for all of the household brush and yard waste that we collect throughout the city. We then send it to Purple Cow and they compost it. We pay a fee for that service, which is what's in front of you now. This would be a 3-year contract. I'm proposing a 3-year contract in order to save money in the future years. They were willing to give us a break if we committed for a longer term. We've been using them since 2012 and have been very happy with the service. And this is funded through the refuse charge and the special revenue fund.
So it went to Board of Public Works and the RCC Commission. So did
It passed.
the Board of Public Works approve it?
I assume so. I guess I don't know, but I would assume so.
It passed RCC last night, and another interesting thing about the company is that they're actually local, which is pretty cool. I think they're located in Middleton.
And I believe it passed Public Works also.
Okay. Any question? All those in favor of resolution R-19-20 say aye.
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 Nays, the motion carried. So next, I am looking for a motion to approve resolution R-197-20. It's a Family Medical Leave Act. Leave carry forward over memorandum of understanding with the FPPA. This is a direct referral.
I move to approve.
Okay, so I think we have the chief here. Okay, so
Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing?
great.
So the MOU that you have in front of us is with the Fitchburg Professional Police Association. That's the association that represents our police officers and detectives. The language in that MOU mirrors language that was passed by the City Personnel Committee back, I believe, in September that created a policy for non-represented employees to carry over up to 180 hours of leave for an approved Family Medical Leave Act event that would be taking place in the following calendar year. So we're just hoping to extend, we're looking to extend this same policy that non-represented employees have to represented employees in the police department. And in order to do that, we need an MOU with the association. So that's what you have in front of you now. And if you have any questions, by all means, let me know.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The technical one is why this resolution didn't go to the Fire and Police Commission or personnel? Do they need to go there?
It doesn't need to go to PFC. That would be, it's out of their purview. It certainly could have gone to personnel. That wasn't necessarily a consideration for whatever reason. If that should have gone there, certainly could go there, which is potentially, obviously, delay the acceptance of it. I think likely why it didn't go to personnel or wasn't identified to is because the language in the MOU largely actually is verbatim from what the policy was that the personnel committee approved. So looking at the fact that they've approved similar language for non-reps, perhaps maybe it was a bit of a leap to assume that they would have approved similar language. So yeah, it's a fair question. But if you go to personnel, we can certainly tap the brakes a little bit and do so.
Any other question? Because I have another one. Why it wasn't part of the union contract, this language, isn't it?
No, they don't have a carryover clause regarding FMLA and the city prior to this. And we occasionally get requests in the police department and throughout the city for these sorts of situations. And a group of us thought that it would probably be a good practice to have a formal policy in place that actually provides some guidance and guidelines and a measure of fairness, equity, and consistency to this process. So that's where the policy in and of itself came from earlier this year.
So, because I want to understand the 100 hours, so this one you can carry forward every year, or is one time?
It has to be for an approved FMLA event.
Okay.
So the process would go something along the lines of, if I know that I have some sort of FMLA qualifying event happening in 2021, I'll submit that information to the Human Resources Department. They'll evaluate that for approval in regards to the standards of the law. And assuming it's approved, then that employee can then request from the department head and city administrator the ability to carry over up to the amount in the cap there into the following year. That leave would have to be used in that calendar year, and it does not change any of the other leave carryover provisions that the city has in place already. And why you see an MOU is obviously because it's a new policy, and once contract negotiations start with the police association and at the next go around, I'm assuming that this will be looked to incorporated into language within the contract itself at that point in time. But in conversation with the FPPA and city, we determined an MOU is the best course of action at this point in time to allow this.
And just for curiosity, this one is not for you, but for maybe Misty or Pat. Is the fire department has similar family leave?
Yeah, the fire department resolution will come forward at the next meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a timing issue with it and some language differences that put the brakes on a little bit on that one till the next meeting.
Oh, okay. No, because, if we are offered, we have to be fair with everyone. So, okay, any other question for the chief? No? Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-197-20, say aye.
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 Aye. Nays, the motion carries. So thank you, Chief. So we are at the end of our meeting. Our next meeting is gonna be November 24, 2020. So we'll see you tonight in an hour for budget time, okay? Thank you.
You still need a motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry. I
Motion
am
to
so
adjourn.
excited about budget. No.
I get it, no worries.
So I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we are adjourned at 6:03. Thank you very much.